when I started looking at this presentation and looking at the different types of bullying, I mean, anybody in here over the age of, I'll say 30 probably, didn't grow up, right? Didn't grow up with a ton of like social media. There wasn't all this stuff that there is now. It's so much more prevalent now than it was when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you might have bullies in schools, but it was very face-to-face, it was in your face, and that's where it was, and it wasn't the whole city knew about it. And you weren't up on the internet with pictures that last forever. And I think that's what kids don't understand. We'll talk about that when we get there. But there's so many different types, and so like I said, we can talk about some of these other ones, but we really focused more on cyberbullying on this because I think that's the one that's the scariest right now, okay? And the one that's definitely the most damaging. Okay. So here's some of the different types. Physical, okay? There's always been that physical bully, right? The kid that wants to run up in the schoolyard and punch somebody else in the face. Just an example, and I've seen it in little kids. My kids are relatively young, 9, 6, and 5, okay? I saw it yesterday from a 4-year-old, which was weird. So I take my 5-year-old, almost 5-year-old, to preschool. And they're still kind of in the baby section of the preschool, if you will, where the little kids stay before they kind of break off into their own rooms because it was kind of early. And I take him in there, and he picks up a truck. It's a truck, right? And this little boy, in a sing-song voice, starts to go, he's playing with baby toys. And I stop, and I go, it's just a truck. And he said it again, like looking at me, like defiant, like, I mean, it had that feel to it, right? And I'm not kidding. In my head, and maybe it's because I've been studying this, my head almost went to the teacher, that kid's going to be a bully right there. You need to cut that off. Because he kind of did it over and over again against what would be just one time going, hey, that's a baby toy, especially when a parent goes, no, it's not, it's just a truck. Most kids would like, shut up, right? So maybe I was labeling because I've been immersed in this topic a little bit, but it was really interesting where you start to notice how kids act like that. I can go back and I tell a lot of stories, but my daughter, when she was probably 4 and a half, same preschool, there's kids everywhere. And some kids at this preschool are actually pretty entitled, okay? She came to me one day and said, Mom, and this was the first experience I'd had with it, Mom, do you like my bathing suit? It's one she'd picked out, okay? It was a cute little, she's 4, cute little, 2-piece with peace signs on it. I said, yeah, why? Because so-and-so and so-and-so told me my bathing suit was ugly. And I'm like, you had that mom feeling of that, oh, horrible, they're young, they're babies, why are they doing that? But it starts really young for some, okay? Some of it's not intentional really, but some of it really is. Now, I know we talk about bullying too, and so my disclaimer, because you go to some groups and talk about bullying and they'll be like, kids are just too soft. I'm not talking about kids just getting into fights and doing things like that. I'm talking about things that are systemic and deliberately designed to hurt somebody else. Not 2 little boys in a scuffle on the playground, okay? But stuff that's deliberate, malicious. That's bullying, that's different, right? So there's the physical. Verbal, okay, let me ask you this. So who's more likely to engage in physical bullying? Boys, right? Who's more likely to engage in verbal bullying? I know, girls, right? We are nasty when it comes to that. We are. I've always thought guys were much more honest in it because guys will go up, punch each other in the face, and then go have a beer, and they are done. But girls you guys know if you work with teenage girls especially, they get nasty, right? And it's painful. I mean, they say some ugly, ugly things. So I almost think verbal's worse, really. Social bullying. What do I mean by that when I say social bullying? This is the participation part. Exactly. Look back to, and I'll show a clip in a little bit, look back to Mean Girls, which was the first great movie on girl cliques and bullying, right? It's perfect. But absolutely, yes, we're going to exclude you from our social group. You're not a part of us, okay? Sexual bullying can start pretty young, surprisingly. It's scary how that happens. It can start very, very young, though. Prejudicial bullying, right? Bullying people based on gender, ethnicity, how they look, any of those things. Okay, that can start young too, and we're going to talk about some of the ways those happen as well. And then cyberbullying, which is what we're going to start out with, because again, that's probably the most prevalent kind right now, and it's almost impossible to escape. Okay. All right, cyberbullying. There's your definition. Okay, I'll read it to you real quick. So cyberbullying is bullying that takes place using electronic technology of any kind, right? And gosh, electronic technology is everywhere too. It includes devices and equipment such as cell phones, computers, tablets, any other communication tools, social media sites, which we're going to cover in a second. In my research in this, I was shocked about how many social media sites I had never heard of before that are designed for teenagers and for stuff like this. Text messages, chat, and websites. It's all over the place, right? I mean, how many of you guys see kids now at 10 that have cell phones? Which means what? They're absolutely at risk for this because they have access to it. Okay, it's scary. I mean, my littlest one, and I don't let them have any of that stuff, but they know how to use my phone just by watching me. You know? I have it locked, but if it's unlocked, they can figure it out. And they know how to use stuff like that. So it's very scary. So cyberbullying. So some examples of cyberbullying include things like mean text messages, of course, nasty emails, okay? I wonder sometimes, and the kids never think, right? When it's out there, it's there forever. Like, once it's online, it's recorded forever. It doesn't go away. I know people think they can erase stuff and it's gone. No, if it's been on your phone, there's a record of it somewhere. They can find it. People can find it. Rumors sent by email or posted on social networking sites. Embarrassing pictures. There's going to be a story of a little girl, a news story of a little girl in a bit that talks about that. But young people don't seem to realize somebody could screenshot something and keep it forever, right? And again, you guys know that work with teenagers, their frontal lobes are not well developed at all. So they don't have any thought that what I do now, it could affect me for the rest of my life. If I send a naked picture to a boy now, it can be out there for the next 50 years. It's going to be online somewhere. And they just have no concept of that. So they get themselves in trouble on a pretty frequent basis, right? Because they do things like that, and you can't take it back. It's out there then, right? So embarrassing pictures, videos, websites, fake profiles, that's a big problem. I mean, we've seen that in some of the news stories where even adults, right, will set up a fake profile, and they're bullying their child's enemy at school, which is ridiculous, right? But then again, where do you think that kiddo learned how to be a bully? From the bully parent, okay? All right. So why is it different? Why is cyberbullying different? Well, one, kids who are cyberbullied are often bullied in person as well. So think about that, right? They're being bullied online, probably from somebody initially at least at school, and then they go to school and get it too. So they never get away with it, okay? I'll go back to, when I was a kid, if there was a bully, and I'm not minimizing it, it was bad then too. If somebody's bullied on a Friday, at least they can go escape it for the weekend, okay? Or go to another school if it got bad enough. Here, there's no escaping it. So they're getting it at school and online, typically, right? They just can't get away with it. And I can't even imagine, I mean, try to put yourself in that place where you're being bullied all the time and you can't walk away. There's no escape. Because if you're at school, you're going to get it, and then when you go home and open your email or your text messages, you're going to get it there too, right? It's all over the place. Cyberbullying can happen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Absolutely can reach a kid even when they're alone. Because if they have access to this, right, then they've got everything. Cyberbullying messages and images can be posted anonymously. That's the other thing too. And we'll see some examples of that. Because people, and you've noticed this, right? People get awfully brave behind a screen and a keyboard. And they think they can say everything. They would never dream of going face-to-face to somebody and saying that. But boy, get me online, and I've got all sorts of tough online, right? Anyway. And sometimes it's really impossible for us normal people, not tech wizards, to trace it. We don't know where it came from, and it can be gone. I'm going to talk about some of the different websites in a little bit too that truly are like you text and it's gone. And unless you know what you're doing, you probably can't find it. Right? Deleting inappropriate or harassing messages, texts, or pictures is extremely difficult after they've been posted or sent, because once it's gone, how do you chase that down? The little girl that takes that topless pic and sends it to the little boy, he screenshots it, sends it to all his friends. Guess what his friends do? Right? Yeah. And there's been a couple of cases where people have really gotten in trouble with that, not thinking I probably shouldn't do this. Okay? But once it's out there forever. And so people can't just delete. Great, you deleted off your Facebook profile, but 15 other people have a screenshot of it, and then they've sent it to 15 other people who have sent it to 15 other people. And then the whole world knows, and they've got a recording of it. Okay?
What kind of person bullies a vulnerable child online? Most parents with an internet connection realize how naive that question sounds in this, the age of the troll. In fact, the more relevant question is what kind of person ridicules a child's memory even after she's taken her own life? Tonight, we have the story of a family asking just that after 3 years of hell that began with their 12-year-old, a webcam, and one bad decision. Here's ABC's Rena Ninan.
This is 15-year-old Amanda Todd's desperate cry for help.
So what would you think of me now?
In this video, the high school student details 3 years of torment, bullying, and even she says classmates beating her up. 3 weeks after posting the video on YouTube, Amanda Todd committed suicide. Since her death, this video has been viewed more than 17 million times.
Why do you think it is that she snapped and felt the only way out was to take her life?
I think she snapped because she's just had so much going on. She just had enough, I guess.
We now know that her death was the culmination of a 3-year nightmare, one that started when she ventured onto a webcam site when she was 12. But the shocking thing, even Amanda's death hasn't ended the bullying that followed her from school to school as she tried to escape the torrent of online taunts. This weekend, a candlelight vigil in her memory as friends struggled to make sense of all of it.
She was just so happy all the time, and like when you first meet her, you wouldn't know that she had any problems. I'll never be able to talk to her again.
I'm standing here inside my head.
Here is another earlier video Amanda posted on her YouTube page.
You don't know what it's like.
It shows a young girl singing, full of life, like her idol pop star Demi Lovato, who last week came to Amanda's hometown saying she too confronted bullying in school.
And I'm talking to you, whoever that is out there, and I'm telling you that this is an issue that we can beat. This is something that you can get through. And this is something that will not bring you down.
In that last video post, Amanda herself tells her story. When she was 12, Amanda went on a chat website. Someone asked her to flash her breasts. She did, and the person on the other side snapped a photo that opened a door to blackmail. He told me if I didn't put on a show, he'd send that photo to my friends, she says in the video, and that's exactly what he did.
On Christmas, police came to my door at 4 a.m. and said there's a Facebook image of me sent around.
And that's where the story takes an even darker turn. Instead of helping, she says her classmates began a campaign of cyberbullying. It was so merciless she changed schools 3 times.
It got so bad Amanda tried to kill herself by drinking bleach. She survived that attempt, but said that over the summer she overdosed on drugs. And finally, this month, she succeeded in taking her life.
She could say, "It's okay, you're not alone," and I don't know, those words just stuck with me.
Austin Brown says he was bullied, and it was Amanda Todd who helped him through. He now wishes he could have done more to help her.
I called her at least 3 or 4 times, and then I'm about to call her 5th time, but then I looked on Facebook, and 2 of my friends have posted, "Rest in peace, Amanda Todd, you didn't deserve this."
The astonishing thing is the way in which the bullying has continued. As recently as today, ugly messages like these posted on Facebook and Twitter. I don't really feel bad for Amanda Todd. I think Amanda Todd misunderstood when I suggested bleach to sort out her mustache. The real tragedy is that I can't find her pics anywhere. And even this image of her. You thirsty? Clorox.
I take these words right off of her little video. Haters are haters. Please don't hate. It's a choice. It's a choice.
A cruel choice so many seem to feel free to make behind the mask of the internet.
Well, I guess it's just a power trip, I guess. I'm not a psychologist, but just over the years they feel insecure and they try to, bring pain in others, vicariously, I don't know.
Amanda Todd's case also brought out another ugly side of the online universe. Some have turned the hunt for her predator into a cyber witch hunt. Someone claiming to be from the hacker group Anonymous released the name of a potential suspect, but police say it wasn't him, and the search is continuing.
Gather enough evidence to potentially identify an individual that may in some way have played a role in her ultimately making this terrible decision.
In life, Amanda Todd admired Demi Lovato's ability to overcome her bullying. She was planning to get the same tattoo that reads, "Stay strong." Now it's too late for that, and what's left are online images and the hope that her final message will help overcome the hate that was too much to bear. I'm Rena Ninan for Nightline in Vancouver, Canada.
It's pretty sad, right? And pretty, I mean, scary, sad, how fast that exploded. I mean, what a cute little girl, right? And one bad decision, that shouldn't have ruined her life, caused that because of what a bunch of other people felt compelled to do and felt brave enough to do online. That's why it's really scary. You know, we need to do a much better job about educating our younger kids on how to stay away from stuff like that and how quickly it can snowball, really, okay?